Vets the world over will tell you that a wholly plant-based diet is extremely dangerous for a dog, and frankly, I agree with them. But there is a growing movement of people wanting to feed their dogs a supposedly more ethical, sustainable and healthier alternative in the form of a vegan dog diet. They swear that they have fed their dog as a vegan since the day that they were born, and due to survivor bias and a sample size of one dog, this means that they are right and everyone else should do the same. So let's give the vegans a fair shot for a moment and have a look at some of the pros and cons of feeding your dog on a vegan diet, and why I'm probably not going to be feeding it to my dog. If you feed your dog a special diet, then please let us know about it down in the comments, as we love hearing about it. First off, I want to say that this is not going to be a vegetarian or vegan bashing video, even though I do disagree with them on a lot of their points here. But I'm sure we have all wondered what would actually happen if a dog was given the choice between a plant-based or vegan meal and a bowl of meat, and, well, see for yourself.
And they've got two bowls here, right?
Oh, no.
One is full of vegetables and one is full of meat. Storm,
Right.
Storm, we
We're gonna
hate to
let
put
her
the temptation in front of you,
You
but it's
ready
over
for
to you.
lunch, Storm?
Right?
Oh, I'm
Let her go.
Let her go.
Let her go.
Oh, she's obviously going to go. Obviously. Oh, you little...
Yes.
I didn't swear.
And there is
Oh, no.
natural
Oh, no.
selection.
Yeah.
Oh,
she's
no.
checking it out.
So we're actually going to look at some of the claims that vegans make head on and take a look at the long-term problems that could come up in the form of our pros and cons list. So the first thing in the pro-vegan column is that dogs are omnivores. Now, if you listen to an advocate of a meat-based diet, they will tell you that dogs have always been carnivores and that their ancestors flourished on what they could hunt down and kill. But did you know that dogs have actually eaten a varied mix of food for thousands of years? Dogs have been found with meat, vegetables, insects, all sorts of stuff in their stomachs going back as far as we can find. Yes, they did primarily eat meat, but they actually had a quite well-rounded, complex diet if they could find it. But this does bring us to the fact that it's difficult to work against a dog's nature and the cons list, and they are designed to mainly eat meat. You can't ignore that giving your dog a purely vegan diet is working against thousands of years of evolution in dogs. This has given them the ability to survive on more than meat, but meat is still one of the most efficient ways of getting all the nutrients and vitamins that they need. Dogs' heads, teeth and jaws are designed to rip flesh from bone and to crunch everything up that they can find from a wild animal. You can certainly make an argument that humans are capable of living on a plant-based diet and that we've evolved slightly away from what our ancient ancestors used to live on, but it's literally right there in a dog's face that they are designed to eat meat. In the wild, dogs will eat literally every single part of an animal, even the bits that McDonald's wouldn't put in the chicken nugget, because every single part of that animal has different nutrients and vitamins that they need to stay healthy. Just because you wouldn't eat a chicken's penis doesn't mean that your dog will give it a second thought. Now, the next thing that we will often hear is that dogs are adaptable. They can cope with so many different situations if they're given the time to get used to them. They are brilliant at taking in their surroundings and will make the best of whatever they're given, and their stomachs have developed to be able to handle a wide range of food in order to get as much nutrients as possible. But we mustn't lose sight of the fact that domestic dogs share around 90% of their DNA with wolves and coyotes. These are designed to be hunters and exist pretty much on just meat, and meat alone, which goes back to our working against nature point. Now, the next pro is that any doggy diet with proper food is going to be better than feeding them kibble. Kibble was once thought of as a wonder food for dogs, all their nutrition in one easy to handle and store biscuit that could be mass produced for next to nothing. It sounds like a capitalist's dream, but nowadays attitudes are sifting away due to the rise of awareness about highly processed foods and wanting to feed our dogs something that's better than a pile of vaguely beef-flavoured compressed sawdust. But just because store-bought vegan food is slightly better than kibble, this doesn't mean that it's much better for the dog. Yeah, your conscience might feel better, but your dog's stomach probably won't. This takes us over to our cons list because vegan dog food is highly processed. It's packed with carbs, which dogs can't break down. They don't have the amylase enzyme in their saliva like we do that helps to break down food before it's even got to their stomach. And then once the food has got to their stomach, we run into even further problems. A human's digestive tract is long and complicated. It gives food a lot of time to be processed and broken down into the things that we need. A dog's digestive tract, on the other hand, is nowhere near as long and complex, so food doesn't have as much time to be broken down before it exits the dog. You can even test this yourself. Give your dog a chunk of raw carrot. Now, if, unlike Freddie, they swallow it whole, you can be pretty certain that in about 6 to 8 hours' time, you are going to see that carrot again like some kind of nightmarish card trick. Their stomach hasn't had a chance to work on it. So even though carrots are great for dogs, they won't have absorbed any of the nutrients from that carrot. This is dependent on the dog though, as if you give Freddie a carrot, he shreds it into a million pieces as he eats it, which gives his body more chance to break it down. Now, if you want to avoid the highly processed vegan store-bought food that's out there, you can make it at home to kind of cut out the pet food middlemen. But you will need to be incredibly careful with how you prepare it and make sure that you get the correct balance of grains, vegetables, beans, seeds, oils. The list goes on and on. It's a huge list of things that you're going to need to keep a cupboard full of to give them an actually healthy vegan diet. You can batch make it every couple of days or so, but going down this route means that you'll be spending hours in the kitchen, spending your time preparing food for your dog, and frankly, I've got better things to do, like actually go and play with my dog. A major problem with the vegan dog diet is that vitamins are almost always added as supplements rather than being integral into the food, which means that they don't get properly digested, and just like when we feed ourselves some supplements, all you're really doing in a lot of cases is just making really expensive pee. Then there's the fact that the plants themselves en masse can actually damage dogs' intestines. If your dog eats a large amount of grains in their diet, they're exposed to a high amount of lectins. Lectins are a part of a plant that is part of their defense system, but when they're ingested by dogs, they can bind to the vitamins and minerals, reducing the nutritional value and causing damage to the inside of your dog at the same time. This could potentially lead to an inflamed gut, which, believe me, is the last thing that you want for your dog. So many breeds are susceptible to eye and heart problems. Breeds like Staffies, for example, which we happen to know quite a lot about. Dogs need taurine and L-carnitine in their food to help their eyes and hearts stay healthy, and the only place that you can find this through natural food is in meat. So let's have a look at another pro from the vegan column, and that's the more of the health benefits of being on a vegan or veggie diet. One of the oldest dogs on record was a Welsh collie named Bramble who lived to the age of 25 on a vegan diet. And this shows that some dogs can thrive on it if it's done right, like we mentioned earlier. Anyone who's advocating for any kind of dog diet though, whether it's vegan, vegetarian or raw, will always tell you that they've seen an improvement in their dog's behaviour, and they then tend to attribute that to whatever it is that they're personally doing. I certainly do it with raw feeding Freddie, I swear by it. But this could just go back to the kibble point of you just feeding them a slightly better quality food, and anything is better than kibble. Now, the big argument that you will hear in favour of giving your dog vegan food and eating vegan food yourself is that it is a lot more ethical and they're a lot better on the environment, which is a fair point when it comes to humans. We could definitely do with reducing our meat intake, or at least being a little bit more aware of where our meat comes from. Even the raw meat dog foods that we like to use don't use every part of the animal that they're composed of. There is so much waste involved in creating dog food. You'd think that all the waste parts from human foods would probably get utilised in making dog food, but unfortunately this is not the case, and animal food is never actually made from high quality meat to begin with. But when it comes down to meat versus vegan, meat has a much better chance of giving your dog all the nutrients that it needs in one product, rather than having to source stuff from all over the place to try and combine to make this vegan food instead. So taking all of these pros and cons into consideration, is it ever okay to give your dog a vegan diet? There are some breeds that do have allergies and medical conditions that limit their food. So a well-designed vegan diet might be the solution here, but I really want to stress that it needs to be a high quality and well thought out diet. Just buying some pre-made packs from the store is just going to lead to further complications down the line. Now, if they do need to be on a vegan diet for medical reasons, then you're going to want to transition them slowly onto it, because a dog's stomach can adapt, but it needs time to do this with new foods. Then you'll gradually start to reduce the amount of kibble and meat and increase the plants and the extra nutrient supplements that they are going to need until it's wholly plant-based. But if you notice a change in their poos, for example, then slow the process down. It's not worth giving them an upset stomach on top of changing their food. There are outliers who will find that their dog survives on this kind of restricted diet, but these really are few and far between. All this just goes to show why I won't be thinking of switching our dog onto a vegetarian or vegan-based diet. I firmly believe that a dog's diet should be primarily comprised of meat, ideally raw with a properly balanced 80-10-10 split food, bought from shops with experts on hand to talk you through which brand is best for your dog. Always chat to the staff in a dog food shop. The good ones will give you the time and help explain what's going to be right for your breed and your dog. The bad ones will just say, it's all the same, it doesn't matter. It does matter. Now, I'm sure that everybody who's watching this wants what's best for their dog, and there can be a huge amount of conflicting information out there about what's best and what's worst, what will help them thrive, and what will cause a whole host of potential issues. If you were eating something that gave you a stomachache all day, every day, then you'd probably be pretty peed off as well. You need to do what's best for your dog, not necessarily what's best for you. If your dog happily eats a decent quality meat-based food, don't mess with it just because you think that they should be eating a bit more ethically. But if you're feeding a dog a good quality food and they have runny poos or behaviour problems, talk to your vet first and see about switching them onto something else that may be a lot better for them. There are some links in the description of the resources that we used as a starting point for making this video, and there's plenty more out there showing that while a vegan diet may make us feel better about ourselves, chances are it will just make your dog feel worse. We've got plenty more training and dog utainment videos over on our channel, so I'm sure you'll find something interesting there, so please go and take a look. Thanks for making it this far into the video. It really does make a difference to the small channels like us. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, look after yourself, but more importantly, look after your dog.